Hi there, my name's Amy and I'm here today to talk to you about photographing wildlife on a budget. Now first things first, it's really important to have a think about what sort of wildlife photography you want to get into, because that will help you narrow down what equipment you're going to need. However, there are a lot of features that are important to all different types of wildlife photography, so let's have a talk about those first. Number one, how quickly your camera can shoot. What's the frame rate per second? Because the quicker that is, the easier it is for you to capture the correct still from an action motion. Number two, autofocus points. The more autofocus points the body has and the more widely spread across the field of view they are, the easier it is for your camera to track a moving subject. And thirdly, how good is the camera at shooting in low light? Animals quite often become lively around dusk and dawn. Birds are quite often in trees and wildlife doesn't stop on cloudy days. So it's really important to check that your body can shoot effectively in low light conditions. Now just as important as picking a body is picking the lens. And you're going to want to consider things like the focal length, the minimum aperture, the minimum focusing distance, and how heavy and big that lens is. Because it's all very well having all your gear, but if it's too big for you and you can't carry it, then you won't take it out and get the shot you want. Budgeting for wildlife photography is never easy. So we've created 3 kits in 3 different budgets to give you an idea of what you should be getting for your money. First off, we've got the Nikon Be 3400 body with the 55 to 300 VR lens, and that's in the under £750 budget. Next up, in the under £2,500 budget, we have the Canon 7D Mark II with the Canon 100-400 IS Mark II lens. And then in the last budget, which is the money isn't an issue / do you do finance budget, is the Canon EOS 1DX Mark II with the 300mm 2.8 IS Mark II lens. And we're going to have a look at each of those in a little bit more detail. Now first up we have the Nikon D3400 with the 55 to 300 VR lens. Now the obvious point about this camera is it is small and it is light. It's easy to carry around, you pop it in a bag, you walk around with it all day and you don't notice it's there. The more accessible a camera is and the more often you have it on you, the more likely you are to be able to get a great wildlife shot. If you don't have it, you're not going to get it. With that under £750 budget, you get 5 frames per second, you can shoot at 24 megapixels, which means you can crop in nice and tight afterwards and still retain a sharp image. This camera has a mad battery life, which is rated up to 1200 shots. So that's just almost unheard of in small cameras this size, especially DSLRs with a mirror box. So 1200 shots is great. And it also has SnapBridge, which is Bluetooth within the body. You download the SnapBridge app on your phone and it automatically updates syncs all your photos to your phone, which means you can share really, really easily. Next up, we have the Canon 7D Mark II with the 100-400 IS Mark II. This is the under £2,500 budget, and this is probably the most popular wildlife combination on the market at the moment, and it has a right to be. The 7D Mark II itself can shoot 10 frames per second in RAW. It's got 65 AF points, which is more than any Canon DSLR on the market at the moment, so it's great for tracking. And being a crop body, it means you can get a little bit more out of this lens because it actually becomes a 160 to 640mm lens. On top of that, you can use this kit with the 1.4x converter, the newest one out, and keep autofocus, which is really important, especially at those apertures that just wasn't available a little while ago. The lens itself has a minimum focus distance of just 98 centimeters, and that's at the 400mm end. So that's incredible. And it means you can shoot everything from dragonflies to dragons with this lens. The combination itself, for what you get quality-wise, is actually really light and compact. It's not as light as this setup, but for the sort of quality and the range and the variability you have, the size and weight is really, really impressive. And actually, the price is pretty reasonable too. Lastly, we have the big one, the Canon EOS 1DX Mark II with the 300mm 2.8 IS Mark II USM combo. Now, this setup's amazing. The autofocus and tracking that this camera can do is great, and you can also stick a 2x Mark III converter with this combo, and it will work with all 61 AF points at f8, which just hasn't been available before. So that makes this lens 600mm. The body itself takes a CFast card, which basically makes the buffer unlimited, and that's a good thing because this body can shoot 14 frames per second and up to 16 frames per second with a mirror lockup. So you're going to really need to use that card and buffer. The ISO range on this is 100 to 51,200, or you can expand it up to 409,600. So whatever low light condition you're in, this can cover it. The lens itself, even though this isn't exactly the lightest combo, is actually impressively light for the quality and the length that you're getting. And the fact that it can shoot at 2.8, even though a lot of wildlife photographers won't shoot at 2.8 most of the time, the fact that it can, and the ISO capability of the 1DX Mark II, allows this kit to be perfect for photographing foxes or owls at night time. It's really an amazing setup. Now, it's all well and good me talking about how good the features of these cameras are, but I wanted to test them out. So I was lucky enough to be able to take all three kits down to Arundel Wildfowl Wetlands in West Sussex and have a proper play with all the features. Right, I'm down here at Arundel Wildfowl Wetlands today. It's a beautiful day. There does seem to be someone using a chainsaw somewhere over there, but still, it's a lovely day, and I'm going to test out the 3 wildlife photography kits that we've picked out for you guys to the max. So we'll give that a go. I'm in the reed beds at the moment, and I'm going to do a bit of exploring, see if I can find the best place to test out these cameras. So, I'm down in one of the hides, and I've got the Nikon Be 3400 with the 55 to 300. I've got it on continuous, so I can shoot at 5 frames per second. And most importantly, you can turn all the beeps off, so I'm not making unnecessary noise. Now, this camera doesn't have silent shutter, so I'm going to see how loud that is, but I think I'm going to be able to get some pretty good shots. Okay, so once it's locked on, the tracking is actually really, really good on this. All right, it wasn't the most interesting bird. It was a gull, but I managed to follow it all the way across and didn't really have any issues. Now, bearing in mind, it's a pretty bright day, and I was mostly seeing the white underbelly, so that was quite impressive that, you know, that kept focusing nicely. I was expecting it to lose it because the sky's quite white too, so that was pretty good. So now I get to try out the 7D Mark II with the 100-400 IS Mark II from Canon. This is a really fast combo. The zoom range is nice and easy to move through. It shoots at 10 frames per second, and the autofocus and tracking are really, really good. Oh, I lost him in the bushes. That would have been a good shot. Really, really looking forward to giving this combo a go because I think it's going to be nice and quick to shoot with, and the weight isn't too bad. I'm not sure if I got him, but that's really fun. This is the Canon EOS 1DX Mark II with the 300mm 2.8L IS Mark II. Oh my god, it is so nice to use. The autofocus is just astounding. It's so quick and so accurate. The frames per second are great, and just the quality of the images. I can't wait to get these on my mag. And yeah, it's got a bit of weight to it, but who cares? shooting all day in this beautiful, amazing location, I have come to the conclusion that my photography skills with wildlife need a bit of work. However, these kits are brilliant. It is dependent on money, what you get, and that's obvious. But the D3400, even though it's in the least expensive bracket, really held its own in a lot of the environments. Yes, in some of the low light situations I found it was a lot slower to focus, but that's what you'd expect, and you are paying a lot less than you are with the other kits. The 7D Mark II with the 100-400 was quick, it was very easy to manoeuvre, and it wasn't heavy. Admittedly, people's strengths differ, so the bigger kit may be fine for some people, but for me personally, the 7D Mark II made shooting the wildlife a lot more accessible. And I think if you were walking around a lot and doing this often, then yes, you may get used to the weight of the bigger kits, but if you're going out for a long hike, personally, I'd rather have on the smaller kit. However, there is no doubting that the 1DX Mark II is just awesome. The duck wants to join in. The speed that it can shoot, the speed that it can focus, I mean, without even looking, you can go from a sitting position and just stand and move it across, and it focuses immediately. And I'd love to be able to show you that somehow through the viewfinder, but it's so spur of the moment that there's not really a way to video it for you. But I mean, it's really incredible to use. And with that 300mm, it's unstoppable. I wish I'd bought the 2x converter down here today, because I think that would have been a really nice thing to use with the rest of the kit. But I didn't, and even so, I've managed to still see and hopefully get some really nice shots. So even though I could use a bit of work, the kits themselves are really, really good, and no matter what budget you have, you'll be able to get something that allows you to go out and see wildlife and hopefully capture what you're seeing. So I hope this video has helped you to narrow down slightly where you're aiming, if your budget hasn't already. And if you need any more information, then you can always go online, give us a call, send us an email, or even comment below, and we'll try and get back to you as soon as we can. I want to thank Arundel Wildfowl Wetlands for letting us come here and disturb them and annoy them with our videoing today. So I hope we haven't been too intrusive or scared off too many birds. I don't think we have. I've been whispering all day. I think I'm going to lose my voice by the time I get home, but I really want to thank them. This place is amazing. And as soon as you have your kit, no matter what you've got, get down here if you're close by and have a shoot, because it's brilliant. If not, then try and visit some of the other wildfowl wetlands places around the UK, because they are great environments and they could really use your help to protect the species that we have here. Thanks for watching the video. I've been Amy for Park Cameras.